Hello and welcome everybody. We're going to get started here shortly. Just going to give a couple of minutes for the stragglers to join in. Oh, hey Scott, good to see you on the attendance list. That's a familiar name. I already know you're going to be asking great questions. I'm super excited about today's topic. So grab a coffee, a water, a tea, whatever you enjoy as your afternoon beverage to get you across the afternoon lull. And we'll get started here in a second. All right, so I see some more people coming in. We'll give it a little bit more time. All righty, yeah. I'll go until I see 2 minutes on the clock. Awesome, cool. Yeah, and while we're waiting, before we get started, go ahead and comment where you're tuning in from. One of my favorite things about doing these webinars is the virtual event part of it is the fact that anyone from anywhere can tune in. I'm here in Austin, Texas, and it is a cool 95 degrees outside, so we're cooking, but still having fun. It's going to be a great discussion. And it looks like the attendees are starting to slow down, so I think we could probably get started here shortly. All righty. Awesome. Make sure my camera's working. Okay. Great. All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's discussion, 7 tips for increasing revenue through SEO. I am your host and digital marketing evangelist, Justin Meredith, and I am thrilled about today's topic. And we've talked a lot about SEO in previous webinars, which everybody should check out on our website under the webinars tab. We've interviewed all kinds of SEO experts, business owners, marketing experts, some people with some awesome experience who are able to share that to the audience and cover a wide variety of all things SEO and digital marketing. But one of the things we really haven't dug into is how SEO impacts revenue and sales and how it actually can help generate money for your business. And this is going to be a great discussion, and I guarantee that you guys will have something to take back with you right away. So stick around until the end. And before I bring in our next guest for today, I want to go over a couple of housekeeping things. And if you have questions, feel free to leave them in the Q&A box located on the right side of your screen on that control panel. It should look like what you see here that I'm sharing on the screen. Please, please, please ask questions. We want this to be a very interactive discussion involving everybody in the audience. We will save time for the end of the webinar for about 15 to 20 minutes of Q&A where you'll be able to ask our guest questions or ask me questions, and we're going to try to help answer as many as we can. And so let's go ahead and get started. And without further ado, I would like to welcome today's guest speaker, Garit Boothe. Garit has done SEO for small businesses and enterprise companies alike, including companies such as Verizon, AT&T, and Just Energy. As an in-house SEO manager, Garit 12x'd organic search traffic for a tech startup called nav.com in just 2 years. But it seems like that was probably a little too easy for him, so he just went ahead and started his own SEO agency, Garit Boothe Digital. And his average client traffic growth is like 5 to 20x within 12 months of beginning an engagement, which is crazy. So I'd like to welcome Garit. Let's see, where are you? Get you on camera here. There he is. Awesome. How are you doing, Garit? How are you doing?
Hi, Justin. Glad to be with you here today.
Thank you. And so can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and Garit Boothe Digital?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate your brief rundown of my career. I'm calling in from sunny Salt Lake City, Utah. Cool 73 degrees right now, so I can't complain. Yeah, and I eat, drink, and sleep, eat, breathe, and sleep SEO. I've been doing it for over 7 years now, 8 years, something like that. I have my own revenue producing sites. I have my most of my time is occupied by running SEO campaigns for my clients. primarily in the financial technology industry. But as you mentioned before, I've done SEO for small companies, small businesses, uh, run run campaigns for local stores, locations, things like that. And so I believe and hope that that can provide interesting insights for our viewers today.
I mean, I could already tell just based off of our dry run and the live stream we did on Tuesday that that will be the fact. And you are just an absolute wealth of knowledge that I'm excited that we get to tap into today. So to start our discussion, I want to begin with a poll question and for the audience. And the first poll that we have is basically just to help give us an understanding of where everybody is at, and it'll allow us to guide the conversation to deliver the most value to everybody tuning in today. So the question we have right now is, do you have an established SEO strategy at your business right now? And the first answer is yes, and we're constantly working on improving. Yes, but we're just getting started. No, but we are familiar with SEO. And the last answer is, what even is SEO? So everybody go in and respond to that if you can. That'll help us make sure that we tailor this discussion to who's watching. And we'll go ahead and give that a few more seconds. There's still votes creeping in. All righty. Cool. So let's go ahead and close that. And I want to share the results. And it looks like 50% of the poll results or the answers were yes, and we're constantly working on improving, which is perfect because that is where you want to be. You want to have something established and you want to keep moving forward and improving because that's kind of the name of the game when it comes to Google and SEO is there's always things changing, there's always things updating. The second answer was no, but we are familiar with SEO. And that was with 33% of the votes, which is good also because this is where you should be, listening in with the expert like this with Garit Boothe and, taking the knowledge that he can pass on. So Garit, based on these results and based on your experience with clients and working with so many other companies, is this something that you've been seeing? Have you seen like a lot of companies are starting to really get a grasp of SEO and now they're trying to take it to the next level? Or what about with the people who know what it is and they're familiar with it, but they haven't quite figured out how to get started and get the ball rolling on that?
Yeah, I think this is consistent with the people at least that I talk with. Like that 50% group we have here, we're doing it, we're trying to get better at it. I definitely talk to a lot of people like that just want to take things to the next level. And then more on the other side of things, no, we know what it is, we know it provides value. Maybe you've seen competitors generate great results with it, but you're not quite there yet. So yeah, I definitely see all levels of that spectrum. And today, what I want to try to do is throw out tips for people at various levels so that if you're whether or not you're already doing it or you're not quite started yet, hopefully there's something for everyone here today.
Awesome. So before we dive into the 7 tips for increasing revenue through SEO, I think it's important for us to set a foundation. And I want to do that by covering some of the common challenges and misconceptions that we've seen businesses face in regards to SEO. So Garit, whenever you meet with a new client, what are some of the common challenges or maybe misconceptions where maybe they thought they were doing something right, but in actuality it was hurting them? Or maybe just something that they had no idea that they were supposed to be doing and they just weren't. And also to everybody tuning in, be sure to comment in the chat maybe some of the challenges that you've been facing. Like what are some of your biggest SEO questions? Go ahead and let us know in the chat so we can address those throughout and at the end during Q&A. So Garit, I'll let you take it away with that.
Justin, there's generally speaking 4 things that come to mind among SEO challenges and misconceptions. First, and I would say this is something that I look at right when I talk to somebody who's interested in doing SEO and they haven't done it already is what's your industry search volume? Are people looking up your products and your services on Google? If you're a consumer facing business and you're in an industry that's established, say you're an attorney or a plumber or a tire shop, or you sell things direct to consumer from your website, e-commerce, probably there's going to be pretty good search volume for the stuff that you sell. But if you have something new, something different, something innovative, if you sell business to business, maybe you're just in like a weird niche industry, people might not be looking you up, in which case looking up the products and the services and the things that you sell, in which case SEO is not the right marketing channel for you. And that's the first thing to consider. And it's not always clear. So even people that have experience with SEO or have, a pretty smart marketer sometimes miss it here. So that's why I thought it's worth mentioning.
Definitely.
The second thing is your industry competitive? So if, for example, like I work with a lot of finance companies, if you want to rank for credit cards, forget it. Okay, credit cards, like that head term, like, hey Garrett, get me #1 for credit cards. Hundreds of thousands of people look that up every month. Uh, I mean, the people are ready to buy, they're ready to get credit cards, millions of dollars at stake. You get millions of dollars if you get #1 for that keyword. It's really hard to rank for, like big companies like NerdWallet and other Wallet Hub and other giants in the space are vying for control there. So that's an important factor. If you haven't done SEO before, or maybe you haven't put much budget behind it, you don't have much content on your website, your domain authority isn't very big. Again, you have to consider the cost. Is it worth it for you? And one of the great things, what I like about where a lot of your customers are, Justin, is, if you're competing locally, you have a local product or service, you have a local business. Locally, it's a lot easier to rank for keywords for people in your local community. I'll give you an example. Plumber near me, plumber Salt Lake City, plumber Austin, Utah, or Austin, Texas. People are going to look up search keywords by location, and those are generally very easy to rank for compared to national keywords, and that's a great place to be in.
Awesome. And so with the next one, which is the incompetent SEO agencies, what exactly does that mean when it comes to the common challenges and misconceptions? What have you seen when it comes to something like that?
Yeah, this is something that I'm both embarrassed by, but also I like the opportunity, is that unfortunately the SEO industry doesn't have the best reputation. There's a lot of agencies that just don't do a good job for their clients. Once I got into SEO, I kind of learned this, but it didn't really hit me how bad it was until I went into business for myself. I had a client who had been paying someone for 6 months, and they hadn't even set up their Google Search Console account, formerly Webmaster Tools. That's like the thing you do on day one. And as we see here in our next step, you've got to start with the right foundation. And quick tips, if you're one of those people who haven't gotten started yet, you want to set up your Google Search Console account, your Google My Business, and your Google Analytics accounts. 100% totally free. If you know how, it's pretty easy to put on the website. That's what you do on day one. And I was taking over a client from their old agency who hadn't even done that at all. And so unfortunately, there's a lot of people who just don't provide value to their clients. And so, that's an important consideration, is that you're working with people who know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's huge. And do you think maybe that's is it just because SEO is really hard, or is it because it's really pretty, I mean, it's not new, but it's something that seems still like, oh, that's not something I can handle. I got to find somebody else who knows how to do that type of thing. So like people are able to kind of prey on the fact that no one really completely understands it. So these incompetent SEO agencies, as we say, are not almost taking advantage, but they're able to kind of operate without any real checks and balances, so to speak. Like, because I mean, the business, they don't really quite know what's going on, so they can kind of say whatever and be like, oh, look at this, blah blah blah. In reality, they're not setting that foundation, like you were saying, with setting up your search console, your GMB, and your analytics.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. It is, I mean, yeah, it's been around. People have been doing SEO since the beginning of the internet, but it wasn't really even something people even thought about until maybe most companies, until maybe 5 to 7 years ago. And so the industry's new. There's not a lot of certifications or guidelines. Anyone can jump into it. And like you said, it's complicated. And so it's not just something that, when it comes to advertising, if you want to advertise on Google or advertise on Facebook, everybody gets advertising. You pay money, an ad shows up. But when it comes to SEO, yeah, it's kind of a strange dark art, and people don't really want to learn it. And so yeah, like you said, that's kind of the perfect storm for people to taking advantage of. But your viewers are extremely intelligent, I can tell, not only for being here today, but for engaging and following your company, which offers great products and services related to SEO. And so, just by educating yourself, you're on the right track to making great decisions.
Definitely. It feels like we're in the wild west of SEO, which is good because that means it's early. And the people here and listening and taking the time to make that effort to improve on their SEO are really, I mean, even if you feel like you're late to the game right now, there's still, I mean, it's still early. So it's awesome that, people are interested in this. And that's why we've done so many webinars, is because people want to learn about this. And it's such a hot topic, and it has been for the last year, it seems. So let's get moving into our first tip, and that is target buyer keywords. So first, Garrett, what exactly does it mean to target a keyword? And then we can get into what does it mean to target buyer keywords?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're targeting keyword, that means your SEO campaign is geared towards showing up #1 on Google for it. And the way you do this strategically is you create one page for every keyword you're targeting. So for example, one way you can do this is by location. So I had a friend who on the side of, we worked together in our corporate jobs, but on the side of that, she owned a dog wash, which apparently is like this awesome growing industry. I had no idea because I don't own dogs. I haven't since I was a kid. Dogs are great though. And um, people just can't get enough of it because some of these dogs are so dirty. So people will look up things like dog wash near me or dog wash Salt Lake City. And there's also, every metro area has suburbs, right? So like Sandy, West Valley City, these are suburbs in our area. We created a separate page for every city and suburb because that's what people were looking up.
Mhm.
So that's what you want to do for, target one page per keyword. And the type of keyword determines the type of content you put on that page. So for example, if it's a buyer keyword, a keyword where people are shopping for, you're going to want a solutions or a service or a product page where you're selling them. So Google actually wants you to sell them. And in the next slide, I have some interesting examples of a few indications of what a buyer keyword looks like. Plumber, Salt Lake City. So I have I have a Chrome extension called Keywords Everywhere for those who are interested, that pulls in the search volume straight from Google and the cost per click if you're advertising to that keyword. And of course, we're not talking about advertising today, but if you see ads for a particular search keyword, and you can see here they've got the sponsored ads at the top and then the normal text ad below that, that's a good indication that it's a buyer keyword. Because if your competitors are advertising and putting money behind it, that means they're getting a return by
Mhm.
showing up for that keyword. So you want to target the buyer keywords because naturally people who are looking for products and services on Google are going to frame that in a certain way. So if you're a profession, a service, a product, anything, any kind of keywords like that, people usually don't look up product names unless they're shopping. So that's where you want to show up. Most of the things that people look up on Google are informational. Over, I'd say 95% of the keywords are. What is this? How does that work? How do you do this thing? Where do you go for this? It's fine to show up for stuff like that. But if you get people to your website who are looking up informational keywords, they're probably not going to buy from you.
Mhm.
Show up for the buyer keywords first. And I think we have some other interesting examples here as well.
Definitely.
Attorneys near me. I've actually listened to Google employees speak about this, right? Near me searches have been on the rise for the past 10 years. People are on their phones a lot. When they're looking for products and services, particularly in their local area, that they type in near me. So again, this looks like a great buyer keyword because if you see this CPC stat cost per click, on average, people are paying $21.22 per click just to get a click. And through SEO, you can do that for free. So obviously, when somebody types in attorneys near me, they're looking for an attorney. And if you're
Mhm.
an attorney, you want to show up there.
Definitely. And we've got another example, I think.
Here's another one that's more not a profession, bike shops. And so this is interesting because we call this the map. So these are organic, meaning they're not ads. And Google shows three, and for the past few years at least, they just show the three top results from the Google Maps. What's interesting is these same, if you have Google Maps on your phone, it's like the same technology they're showing from the same place. So whether you're on desktop or on your phone or in the app, it's like the same thing. And when you fill out your Google My Business profile, this is where this data is populated from. And what's interesting is you don't even need a website to show up to have a Google My Business profile. Obviously, it's beneficial if you have one. And what we're going to go in later in our tips is you want to show up both here in the map pack results and in the normal Google results below both.
Okay. So let's keep it moving, and we'll move on to tip number 2. Put your phone number in the title tag. Now, the tip itself is put it in the title tag. That sounds pretty self-explanatory, but for those of us who don't know, me, what is a title tag and what is its relationship with SEO?
Yeah, I love your screenshot here of cheeseburgers. Probably not the best industry to throw your phone number in the title tag for. But yeah, for most of the people here, you're probably going to want people calling in, inquiring about your products and services. And people don't, what we've seen, a trend that we've seen the past 5+ years is the rise of the no-click search result, which means people are coming to Google, typing in questions and answers, primarily on their phones, but they do it on desktop too, and they're not even clicking on anything. They just look at the search results. And as a business owner, if you have your phone number in the title tag, they'll give you a call. So what is the title tag? The visual shows it all here. It's this title that you see in the search results. And if you're looking on the website, if you're like on your website browser, it's the same thing, information that shows up in the top tab when you're on desktop.
Okay. And so I think we've got, do we have another slide for this one as well? Maybe not. I can't remember. But with
I think we
that,
do.
yeah, okay, cool. We've been working together on this document, so it's always hard to remember what slides we put in. Yeah, so here we go. So here's an example of the title of the phone number in the title tag. So when people see this, so do you think it just kind of encourages them to call, or it makes it like if they're looking for somebody, like for an internet provider, having that number in the title tag carries weight in the mind of the searcher?
Yeah, it's just one of those simple, basic things. Just do it because it works. I've worked at a company, well, for example, when I was doing SEO for Verizon, we did this, and sometimes almost as many people would call. We had separate call tracking from the phone number in the title tag as the people that actually visited the page. So this is something you can go out, do it today, throw the title tag in there, and you'll start driving even more calls.
Amazing. And that's just something that you've kind of figured out over time, starting to realize like, oh wow, something as simple as just putting the number here can generate so much more activity. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Alrighty, so let's keep moving. And
Oh, I want to
we got
mention
another
this
one.
really quick. I forgot about this. Sorry. So, there's been a lot of studies, and of course it varies business to business, but generally speaking, so I was doing research and I just had to show the screenshot because I said phone calls more likely to convert than leads, because I've seen a lot of studies where, like for example, InsideSales.com has done a lot of studies around this. Somebody who calls into your business is like 10 to 15 times more likely to buy from you than somebody who fills out an inbound web lead form. So like a contact us form or a call me form. I don't know exactly why that is, but my hunch is the people who are willing to like just pick up and call right now, or that are just, they're highly motivated.
Mhm.
Whereas um, I've seen studies on this. If you wait even 1 hour to call someone back on a lead form, your chance of getting in touch with them drops by half. So it's just like phone calls are just way more valuable if you can optimize for that.
Interesting. And this kind of reminds me of what you were just saying about the zero-click searches. Like you were looking for something, you found the result, didn't even have to click on this. I mean, you did because it's purple, but normally you wouldn't have to because it's right there. And I think that's just something that kind of just shows that, yeah, those zero-click searches are are here and they're common. You know, I think I did it yesterday when I was like looking something up. It was, you know, I just was looking for a statistic or with the weather, and it has it popped up, but I didn't have to click into the website. Alrighty, so let's go to tip number 3, create an irresistible offer. So what exactly does this mean, and how does it relate to SEO and generating revenue?
Yeah. And I want to talk about revenue today because, you know, I come from a family of small business owners. You know, most of my career I was working as an employee, but now I am a small business owner. And, you know, where does the rubber meet the road is what I think matters when you have a business. Um, it's not enough to get traffic to your website. You need to convert that traffic. And conversion means quite simply doing the action that you want them to do. Sometimes they'll buy right off your website, or driving the phone call, driving the lead form, driving email sign up, whatever that is. Make it enticing. And this is something that I see a lot of websites lacking.
Awesome. I think we've got a couple of examples. First
Yeah.
one,
So
Fiverr.
so you know who did a lot of great research or has a lot of great content around this is digitalmarketer.com. Classic website in the digital marketing industry. And they call this a tripwire offer. So, you know, Fiverr, a lot of small business owners look at Fiverr and they go, who in the world would do that? Why would you want to do something for $5? You know, you're not going to make any money that way, you know? The reason Fiverr exists is to offer a small priced product or service, heavily discounted, and nobody's getting rich off of these Fiverr offers, like this voiceover artist. You know, she's not getting rich off of $10 voiceover projects. But then once you click through, what you'll find is, well, that $10 only gets you, you know, 20 seconds of voiceover. So it's just a low price offer, and this works really great for consumers, but it works for businesses too. Get them buying from you, get them trusting you, and then when there's a little bit of trust, you can upsell them to your main product or service.
Mhm.
So that's one particular offer. And I have a few
Interesting.
other examples here too.
All right, well, let's keep running through them. Groupon
The
or
Groupon,
oil.
another website that a lot of small business owners just like have a hard time wrapping their mind around. Like, what's the point of Groupon? And like I've heard small business owners complain, oh, you know, I tried out Groupon and then like none of the customers came back. It's like, well, you know, again, you don't get rich off of a Groupon offer. You might not, you might even lose money getting people in the door, but again, it's an exciting offer that gets people in the door. It gets them to try out your product or service, and then you upsell and cross sell. And you just
Mhm.
kind of like lead people along slowly, step by step, and that's how people become persuaded. Because you know,
Mhm.
if you just offer your main product or service at no discount, nothing special, no add-ons, you'll get some takers. But if you throw something special in like this, like this Valvoline, I don't even know who these guys are. I know they're a big major brand. You know, you'll get more people in the door.
Mhm.
It's you know, it's one of those tried and true tactics.
Interesting. Yeah, it reminds me of, you know, really kind of like an example I think of is if you were to get a coupon for a free movie ticket. Well, when you go to the movies, you don't just go to the movies. You get popcorn, you get candy, you get soda, and you get food, and you know, it's a whole experience. And then you're buying that, which is really kind of where they make a lot of their money. Most of the ticket stuff goes back to the studios and things like that. So they get you in the door with the movie ticket, and then they upsell you with all the other good stuff. So it
Exactly.
kind of reminds me of something like that. And I think we've got another example here. Oh, that might be on the next one then. But actually, let's go ahead and jump into another poll. And so this one is to kind of set up our next tip, and I want to get an idea of where the audience is at on this. And that is, let me make sure I don't accidentally. Got it. Okay, cool. Have you claimed and created your free Google business profile, or formerly known as Google My Business or GMB? And the answers are yes, but it needs updating. We haven't really looked at it in a while. You might even still have COVID hours or whatever it may be. Or yes, and it's fully filled out, up to date. We are on top of it. Or no, we haven't even set it up yet. We're not even really sure what that is. So let's go ahead and see what we've got. Awesome. And I'm seeing some really good results so far. Man, this audience is just on top of it. This is great. Okay, so oops, still got some more votes coming in. All right, so I think that's good. I'll give 3, 2, 1, last chance. Ah, I knew somebody was gonna vote. All right, now let's share these results. Okay, so the top answer was yes, and it's fully filled out and up to date, which is great. And that's with 68%. And 24% said yes, but it needs updating. And with only 8% no, which is okay, because that's why we're here. This is why we're learning, and this is why we're giving these tips, is because this is not common knowledge. So Garrett, from what you've seen, maybe like when clients are coming up to you and you're meeting with them for the first time and you're trying to get that foundation set up, how often is the Google Business Profile or GMB set up, ready to go? Like what have you seen from that?
Yeah, I'd say based on what I've personally seen, your audience is just way more on top of it because usually they'll have a Google My Business profile. Sometimes they won't, but it's just not fleshed out very well. And obviously your people are putting a lot of effort into it, which is really smart.
That's awesome. And that leads perfectly into, and I think this may be because they've seen some of our other webinars, because this is something that I have preached a lot about with other webinars, and think maybe out of the last 6 I've done, we've talked about it 4 of them, and that is to complete your Google Business Profile. For those who don't know, that is a free profile that Google gives you essentially. You just have to claim it and set it up. And it's essentially your digital storefront. It's your first impression. It's crucial when you, especially if you're B2C, and there's people who are searching for you. If you don't have this set up, you're missing out on a ton of opportunity. So Garrett, what does a completed Google Business Profile GMB look like, and how does it affect revenue, SEO, and like over your overall like online performance or your online like presence?
Yeah, the Google My Business profile, as we mentioned earlier, is essential for ranking in that map pack that we showed earlier. So it drives more clicks and more traffic. But then when people are looking you up to begin with, it actually adds a lot of validity because they look at your reviews, they see that you have a location, they look at your pictures. So it's not just an opportunity to drive more traffic, but also to build trust with the people that may have heard of you somewhere else, but don't know who you are.
Interesting. And it looks like we've got some more examples, and this is what not to do.
Yeah. So again, not businesses that I know anything about. I just did a quick Google search in my area. And this one came to mind because I literally was on the phone with a client. I saw this. There's like this business that comes up and they have no reviews, zero. And what was interesting was the guy I was talking to told me, oh yeah, they're actually one of the big players in our industry. One of the biggest players in the industry have no Google reviews. And if you look at these other ones here, only 6, only 18. So if I were somebody, if this is me looking at it as an SEO person, I think, wow, I can outrank them easily because I can get a lot of reviews. And there's what they've done is this is just lame here, easy to compete against.
Yeah. And that goes back to the 4 common challenges, is figuring out how much competition is there for the words you want to rank for. And I think we've got another example of what not to do.
Yeah, so
And
this is just a close up of like they just have like 0 pictures. Um, anyways, not very well done.
yeah. And what about a better example of what to do?
So this is a restaurant that my family and I went to like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it's just kind of a fun new website. I actually found them on DoorDash, but I looked them up on Google. I thought, oh, why don't we just go in? And they've got some fun pictures. They got the pictures of the location. Um, there's a Grubhub ad, which I think Google adds in automatically, but they've got like it's fleshed out, got the hours, you got everything, like the menu, which a lot of restaurants don't have the menu. So I really like that menu link, phone number, where they're located in, and over 300 Google reviews for a business that's only been around for like 6 months. So I
Wow,
think that's really good.
they're on top of it. Hopefully,
Yeah.
that means they're using Birdeye. to get those kind of results.
right?
Yeah, and I'm just looking at this. I'm looking at this now, and I'm noticing like the health and safety, which was a huge thing for whenever setting up your Google Business Profile during COVID. Similarly with the service options. So it's like, okay, well now I want to look for, Venezuelan del delivery near me, and that's right there. It's no contact delivery, and it's near you or whatever. Like that's all part of it, you know. And so with the Google Business Profile,
And there's a fun, Justin, if I could cut you off there, there's a
yeah, go
fun
for it.
follow-up. Would you mind if we just hold that question until we do the next
Oh
slide?
yeah, the
Okay.
next slide. That might
Yeah.
be. This might even be my answer to my own question. Hey, there's
So
your review.
yes, so we ended up having a great time. By the way, I've never had Venezuelan food before. Didn't even really know what it was. I've been to South America, but never Venezuela. And wow, it was amazing. We had a great time. And you can see I left a great review, left some pictures with my daughter. And so um, this is what you want, right? You want people singing your praises for you. There's no better sales pitch.
For real, and and we'll talk about this in a little bit later. Just that review alone probably is super impactful for other people looking at this restaurant on Google, and that just goes to show the weight and the impact that Google reviews can have on a business. So let's move on to tip number 5. And we did receive a question earlier, and I wanted to wait until we got to this because it applies directly to this tip. And they were wondering, when it comes to SEO, when it comes to setting up your Google Analytics and your Google Business Profile and your Search Console, what what numbers are important? What KPIs should because when you go into Google Analytics, there's a million different data points, a million different stats that you can look at in a million different ways. It can be a little overwhelming and really pretty daunting. So for people who are starting out, who are setting this up, they're like, okay, I want to have clear and established goals. What does that look like, and what is important?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Google Analytics is what pretty much everybody who does digital marketing uses as their default analytics platform. And so I actually have a client in the analytics space based in San Francisco, and it's a paid analytics product. And what's interesting is that Google just dominates, like big companies even that have data science employees will use the free version of Google Analytics for their website, which is kind of surprising to me. So, and I think the reason for that is it comes out of the box with a lot of great functionality. Now, I saw that your audience, they're already doing SEO. Most of the people who are already doing SEO, you've got your Google My Business profile set up. I'm guessing that you guys have most of you have Google Analytics set up. And there's a lot of stuff in there that's really good, but maybe not important on a day-to-day basis, like your bounce rate, or I don't know, your location report. Maybe not important to look at on a day-to-day basis. But I'm surprised at how many established businesses doing SEO don't have working, accurate Google Analytics goals set up. And I have some interesting insights on that.
Cool. So we can move on to the next slide. There we go.
So this is a screenshot from a client's, and I thought, okay, these people are really putting some effort into it. So I thought it was worth sharing. They have a service that requires talking to a salesperson to buy. They've got anytime somebody subscribes to get an ebook, an event fires, that's a goal that goes. Anytime there's a product purchase direct from the website as opposed to a salesperson, they've got that. Anytime a consultation request form set up, they've got that, and so on and so forth. You want to know what people are doing, and if you don't have that, so I'd say, what matters for a lot of the people on this call, and I just wrote out some ideas here. Phone calls. You could sync Google on it. You can get out of the box fairly cheap call tracking, like CallRail's like $25 a month to get phone call tracking on your website. Sync that with your Google Analytics. Now you're tracking phone calls. Which pages are they calling from? Are they calling directly on their mobile phones, or are they calling when they're desktop? Do they call after they've been on your website uh, for 3 pages? Are they calling in their first 10 seconds? Right? These are all things you can know once you have Google Analytics goals set up. Email subscribers, booked appointments, contact forms. every single one of those, there should be known and working goals on your site.
Interesting. I think we've got another one here.
This is a great screenshot from Google Analytics. And so when you're looking at these goals, like you're looking at conversion rates and completions. So this is really interesting because, these are the landing pages, meaning we're seeing numbers here for people who are landing on these various pages for the first time. And then which of these landing pages drives the most conversions? So like the home page, you can see here, number one got 2,070 users under this time period. If you go all the way to the right, you can see that only 0.27% of the people that land on the homepage actually get an ebook, become an ebook lead. So that's like not very good, right? But wow, go to number two. Look at page number two. 54% of the people that landed on that page signed up and became a lead. They only had 10 visitors. So if you focus on the right keywords and the right traffic, you can get a lot of people buying or signing up, even if you don't have that much traffic. And that's something that's worth considering.
Interesting. And this is probably one of my favorite things about Google Analytics because it's like a sociology class. You can really see how people are behaving on your website, like what's making them click to this page or what's making everybody leave this page. Is it too long or is there not enough information? There's a lot of really interesting and kind of cool insights that you can pull from Google Analytics in terms of this. So let's get moving. I want to make sure we have enough time for Q&A. And let's move on to tip 6, collect customer reviews. And now this is something that I've talked about a lot in a lot of other webinars, and we've talked about it so much so that we just had to have an entire webinar around Google reviews. I definitely recommend checking that out. We've got some great insights from experts who talk about how to generate more reviews without spending a ton of money or and how to bring in more reviews in a really efficient way without having to waste a ton of money or man hours. And so Google reviews, this is something that's really important. It's a really important aspect of your online presence. And it relates to tip number 4 when we were talking about the Google business profile with the example that you were showing, where the competition was low, where you felt like as an SEO person, you're like, we could totally outrank these guys. They've got 6 and 18 reviews and one of them had 0. And this is and reviews are one of those things that when a person is searching for a business, it's one of the first things that people look at. It's I don't want to really hear about what the company says about themselves because we all know that they're going to say a bunch of great things like we're the best, we're the greatest. But what are real people, real customers saying about this business? Because for me as a consumer, I want to know that. And in fact, there was a study in 2021 that said 77% of consumers said that they regularly read reviews when browsing for local businesses, and that's up 17% from 2020. So Garrett, my question for you is, why are reviews so important to SEO, and how can our audience and local and small businesses or any business really leverage them to increase revenue?
Yeah. So good, like you were saying, people read reviews. And so when it comes to SEO, I think I see reviews playing 2 roles. One, the more reviews you have, that is a ranking factor within the Google Map Pack. So the more reviews you have, the more likely you are to get seen and get views, impressions, clicks, all of that. But on the second side of things, the more and better reviews you have, the more likely you are to win the phone call and win the click.
Interesting. And I think we've got a little bit more information to kind of help illustrate this, and how reviews can really kind of help carry or contribute to a higher ranking.
Yeah,
Uh,
so this is an interesting one. Divorce attorneys. Oh, sorry, did I cut you off there?
no, we're good. Keep going.
Um, this is one this was an interesting one for me because you look at that top result. They've got 204 reviews on average, 5.4 stars. 15 years in business. Great little quote there, or at least they have a quote there.
Mhm.
When I see that, that tells me they're legitimate, and you could tell that the reviews help them get to the #1 spot overall. I I guarantee you they're getting the most calls here. Whereas you look at the last one, so you look at the second one, they got 78, which is still pretty good. But you look at the third one, they've only got 16 reviews. And so I'm looking at that. You look at this just based on the reviews. Which one are you going to want to call? It's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
But this
definitely the
is a
top.
very clean cut case of both the rankings and the psychology being affected by the reviews.
Interesting. And another thing that I've noticed is these all three of these businesses are on the same street in the Redwood Road Suite A, B, and
Oh,
C. So
I
you're
didn't even think
competing
about
against
that.
your
Yeah.
neighbors, and there's already a clear winner when you're looking online. So imagine that, like your neighbors outranking you, and they're getting way more business because they have more reviews, they have a better Google Business Profile set up, and they're right next to you. It's not like location is the problem. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting. But location on Google is a big deal. Yeah. All right. So we are moving quickly, and we've only got about 15-ish more minutes. And before we move on to our very last tip, and we move on from Google reviews, I do want to talk quickly about how Birdeye can make managing your reviews, collecting reviews, a lot more easy, or a lot easier for you, especially if you're a multi-location business. One of the things that I've talked about quite a bit, and it was a topic with one of my previous webinars, I was interviewing a guy named Joey Randazzo. He owns his own SEO agency up in Oregon. And I asked him, I was like, when it comes to Google reviews, what are some the biggest hurdles that people are trying to overcome? And he told me that the two biggest challenges is businesses have a fear of asking for reviews. Whether it's, I don't really know when to ask, I don't really know how to ask, I don't know if I want to ask because I don't know if they had a great experience. There's a fear of just being like, hey, we hope you enjoyed your experience with us. Can you please leave a review? It would really mean a lot. And then the second challenge is we ask for reviews, but we're not getting them. And with both of those hurdles, it's you're not making it easy for your customers to leave you a review. So even if you are asking them, if you're asking them in person, you're like, okay, well, can you go log into your Google, type in our business, go under there, leave a review? That would be great, thanks. Or you're too afraid to ask. And so with Birdeye, you're able to kind of conquer both of these challenges because we're able to send out completely automated review requests to every single customer, which is what you should be doing. And we also make it really, 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 really easy for them to leave a review with just a click of a button through a text. Like say you finished at on this right side, we have Holiday Dental Studio. Like let's say you finish your dental session, you've paid, you the next day or even as you're walking to your car, you get a text like, hey, thank you so much for your visit to our office today. Please take a second to leave a review. When you get that text, there's a link. You click the link, it pops up a window with options to leave a review at Google, Bing, Angie's List, wherever, whatever options you want to choose. You click that button, you leave your review, you're done. It takes 2 seconds. It's super, super easy. And whenever you're able to automate the review asking process and you make it easy for your customers to leave a review, it will generate more reviews for you. That's just the way it works. We have the data, and if you want to go see the data, you can check it out in our 2022 State of Online Reviews report that was just published. We had a team of basically review experts at Birdeye go into the data of like 80,000 local businesses and really crunch the numbers and figure out what trends are emerging, what are people doing to get more reviews, how are they doing it, and there's some really, really cool insights. And we even had a webinar about it. And the other thing is like not only just getting reviews is important, but also managing them and responding to them. So if you have multiple locations, let's say you have 25 locations for a burger joint. The best practice is to respond to all of those reviews. You want to show your customers and potential customers that you care about their opinions and you care about how they feel and their experience. So responding to those reviews is super, super important. But if you don't have a platform that has it all available in one dashboard like Birdeye, you're going to have to log into every single Google business profile, every single Angie's List, every single Bing, every single Facebook account, and manually read and respond to all of those reviews. And that can take a ton of man hours, and it takes a lot of time away from your day to do other important things like running your business. With Birdeye, you can do it all from our unified inbox. That makes it super easy to manage all of the reviews of all of your locations and all of the websites that reviews are being left at in real time. And you can even automate those requests. So if you get a 4 or 5-star review that's like, hey, I had a great experience, you can have automated requests or automated responses sent out to them and just be like, hey, thank you so much for your business. And you can customize these responses to make it real personable. You set alerts. If you have a low star rating, you'd be like, it'll trigger an alert and you could be like, oh, hey, we need to go take care of this. We need to make sure that this customer who didn't have a great experience with us knows that we still care about them and we want them to come back. And that carries so much weight within the potential customer's mind when they're reading reviews. If they see a bad review, like everybody has a bad day. So somebody got a bad haircut or their burger was overdone and they leave a 1-star review. If I'm a potential customer and I see that, at first I'm like, oh, wow, that's probably not that great. But then when you see that the business responded to it and was like, hey, we are so sorry, we want to make it right to you, please contact us, we'll find a way to make your experience better. And a lot of times that review ends up being changed from a 1-star to a 3, 4, or 5-star because they found that the customer appreciates that. And so that was my little spiel. I wanted to get that out there before we move on to the final tip, and then ultimately into Q&A. And that is with tip number 7, leverage social proof. So Garrett, what is social proof and how does this relate to SEO and generating revenue for a business?
Yeah. And Justin, I know we're almost at the top of the hour and we want to leave time for Q&A, so I'm just going to go through this really quick. We've already talked about Google reviews. That's social proof. It's proof that other people, unbiased personal reviews from other people saying about you. People trust that. There's more ways than just Google reviews. If we go to the next slide here, I give a few examples. Here's one that I came across when I was doing my attorney searches. Local, so if there are publications that have said good things about you, that's great. If there are awards or certifications, those are all social proof, things other organizations have said about you. Definitely showcase that. I think I have another screenshot as well.
Yes. There.
I thought this was really interesting because I've never seen Google reviews displayed in this manner before. I've seen it done with Trustpilot, but not Google. And these are testimonials. It doesn't have to be from Google, but you can just, throw in testimonials from customers, the face, the words. It's worth its weight in gold.
Definitely. And then affiliations, memberships, and certifications.
Absolutely. Anything that builds trust like that, it's going to get more people that are already on your site calling, buying, etc.
Awesome. Well, that is all 7 tips that we have today. We're going to go through them real quickly, but I want to encourage everybody to submit your questions. I've already seen a couple come in, which I will bring up to you here in a minute, Garrett, but please ask questions. This is your chance to ask an SEO agency owner, expert, your questions about this here, right now. It's live. So submit your questions, anything you might need, you've been wondering about, maybe before you even got into the webinar, you've always had that nagging thing like, man, I really don't know if this is the right thing to be doing. If you have a question, send it out there and we'll figure out a way to answer it. So while I'm waiting for all of you guys to ask your questions, let's go over the final takeaways. And that's the 7 tips that we went through. And the first one is target buyer keywords. The second is put your phone number in the title tag, and then create an irresistible offer and get your customers get that foot in the door, and then you can build that trust and ultimately hit that upsell with your main product. Complete your Google business profile or your Google My Business GMB. It feels like all these things change names all the time. Install Google Analytics goals. Have a clear-cut vision for what you're trying to accomplish and work towards. Collect customer reviews, which tie into leveraging social proof with awards and certifications. And those are all of the 7 tips that we gave out today. The recording of this webinar will be made available, just a heads up for everybody viewing. But with that, let's go into Q&A. All righty. So I've got a couple of questions here. And the first one we received was a little bit earlier. And they're just wondering, could you provide the Google add-on that you showed the CPC search results, the search words for?
And if I just throw this in the chat here.
Yeah. We'll just
Will
make
that
sure
will
it's,
everyone get that?
oh, here, I can do that. It's called Keywords Everywhere.
Yeah, keywords everywhere. That's what it's called.
There we go. So that should be sent to everybody. Awesome. And we've got another question. Do you have instructions on how to set up these goals on Google Analytics? Or do you have, like, where's a good resource to go whenever you're trying to set it up? Because I've worked in Google Analytics before and it's a beast. So, and it could definitely be overwhelming and there's 1,000 numbers floating around. Where would you say is a good place to learn and make sure that you set up good habits from the get-go?
Yeah. Um, that's definitely the most technical thing that we discussed today. So there are ways to do it without being a developer, but it's still technical. So I just say, um, figure out which events you want to tag, and then hire a developer to do it for you. Whoever set up your website, or if you work with any kind of marketing agency, they should be able to do it for you. There's even people you could like that do this kind of thing. If you were to go on like, um, what's that, Upwork? You could hire freelancers that do it as well. If anyone who wants to get in touch with me afterwards, I have a Google Analytics developer expert who does this kind of a thing for a living full time.
Awesome. Alrighty. And thank you guys for submitting your questions. I'm seeing them roll in now, which is great. Let's go to the next one. So this person is asking, a few of my customers have posted a Google review in front of me in the shop, but it never showed in my Google reviews. What would be the reason for this?
Was it through Birdeye, I'm wondering, or was it just like
I'm
direct?
not, I'm not sure. It looks like, from what it sounds like, it's just right in front of them. So
Yeah,
is there a verification process or anything like that that could be, or could it just be a weird connection? It takes a
Y-
second.
yeah, that sounds weird because I've never seen that happen. I guess I haven't done that. I guess I haven't
Yeah,
had customers do that right in front of me, but
they followed up. They
clearly
said it's,
something, yeah, clearly something broke there because it should be instantaneous.
yeah, because they were saying it's from a link on GMB.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there.
Okay, and then we've got another one. It's I'm having trouble verifying my location since last December. My location doesn't have a direct phone. It's like a transfer system. So the call by Google never enters. And I've been trying to regular my I'm trying by regular mail, but the Google letter with the code doesn't arrive. Okay, so they're trying to, I think, verify their profile. And when that
Yeah,
happens, Google sends you an envelope to verify that the address that was sent to is the correct one. If
yeah.
people have trouble with trying to do that, do you know of any other ways that they could get around, or whether it's contacting Google directly and be like, hey, I'm having issues with this? What would you recommend that
Yeah,
step?
that's definitely one I'd contact Google about. A friend of mine's a CPA and he had the same problem, and that was really weird. Um, yeah, definitely contact Google, contact their support that's related to GMB so you get that department. And they should be able to help you with that.
Awesome. So we got another question. We got a couple more minutes. Um, Here. Any tips for for the most popular search terms also being your business name? So I think maybe an example of this could be, well, I mean, I guess hotels.com would be a very simple one.
Yeah.
Um, so if your business name is a very, very popular search term, so you're competing with that, what would you kind of how would you approach that?
Yeah. So it's definitely a best practice to give yourself a brand name that's not like something generic, something very different. And this is surprisingly hard. I didn't realize how hard this was until I started a few of my own businesses. Um, because you want something that nobody else has, so you come up quickly in Google for it, but still makes sense for your business. So
Mhm.
since you're already in that pickle, um, there's a couple of different solutions. One is rebrand, which is never fun. You could literally get a new domain name and redirect it to that new name. If you don't want to do that, which I imagine you don't, um, uh, there are SEO techniques that you could use to try to come up. Like brand your name as, say you're like, what was that example you just gave, Justin?
So, well, she followed up, and so they're Lake Erie cremation. So it's like the like
Okay.
Austin Plumber, you know. So it's gonna be
Yeah.
something like
Lake
that.
Erie cremation. Okay. So I imagine cremation isn't super competitive. So I think with some SEO juice, you could get to the top with
Hmm.
backlinks to your homepage, and you have to manage the anchor text. This is getting like really in the weeds. You have to manage the anchor text of the backlinks that go to your homepage in the right way, which I don't have time to go into. But you could probably go to the top in your case, with enough SEO work.
Awesome. And so this is the last question we have time to answer. Um, we have the highest number of reviews in the market, but our GMB still doesn't appear in the three pack. What other things should we look into?
Yeah. The name of your GMB profile needs to have the keyword in it. Um, so if your like brand name is just too weird, like not like too different, make sure you have the like brand name and then have the title come after that.
Mhm.
Location is a factor, like Justin alluded to before. Um, but if people close to you, if you're not coming up, then that's a problem. Um, Keyword reviews, obviously backlinks to your website helps,
Mhm.
and you want backlinks from other businesses in your local area. That's something that matters for the Google Map Pack. That doesn't matter as much for local results.
Mhm.
So those are three things I'd throw out right away.
Interesting. Okay. And so that's all the time that we have. Garrett, thank you so much for joining us for today. This has been an awesome conversation. I was a little worried we were going to get sucked into it and I was going to forget about the time and we were going to run out for Q&A because the conversation has been so good today. But also thank you everybody else for joining. This has been a great conversation. Thank you for all of your questions. If you want to learn more, check out the Birdeye website. Like I mentioned, we have a ton of different webinars on SEO, Google reviews, all of that good stuff. And also, Garrett, do you have anything, last bits of advice or anything that you'd like to plug? What's going on in your world after this?
Yeah, no plug today. You can reach me at garitboothe.com or follow me on LinkedIn. And my main thing I'd like to leave your group with is, get started today. Take action. Action beats inaction, and there's momentum. The more content you have, the more work you're doing with your SEO, that builds and snowballs over time. So keep going at it, and you'll get there.
Definitely. I think that's something that I've heard a lot about, or I've heard a lot from a lot of these SEO experts is there's no quick fix. It's a lot of baby steps that turn into a mile, you know, and just taking the time, staying consistent, and just knowing that you're eventually going to get there. You just got to keep doing it. There's just not one quick thing, but even like we had talked about in our dry run is sometimes one little thing can make a big difference, but it's also a lot of little things to make the ultimate difference, which is to get you on that front page. So that's all the time we have. If you want to get started with Birdeye or schedule a demo or talk to some of our experts, email us at events@birdeye.com or go to our website and go onto our little chat bot, which is an awesome tool, or schedule a demo through our contact us page. But with that, I'll let everybody go and have a great Thursday.
See you guys.
Bye.